What's up, everybody? I'm Arash Amini, founder and head stack farmer at StackFarm. So why stack farming? Well, because stack farming, aka vertical farming, aka indoor farming, is the future of food. And not because it's about, I should say, for many, many reasons. The three major reasons are climate change, food quality, and STEM education. These will be the driving forces of the indoor farming market, of which StackFarming seeks to be the dominant brand in the home farming side of it. So you got commercial farming for profits and through produce, and you got home farming, which is more about quality and maintenance or hands-offness, right? Simplicity. So stack farming is a platform for indoor farming. It's a way of designing your systems so that they work efficiently, they can scale up and down, and they are as low cost, aka high ROI, as possible, return on investment. The number one reason indoor farming is taking off is because of climate change. Now, whether or not, how do I say this? Regardless of what you believe is changing the climate, the vast majority of citizens globally understand that the climate itself is changing. Now, yes, it's being driven partially by solar irradiance and carbon dioxide, but recent science has also shown it's being driven in part by solar magnetic activity and cloud cover. So those are probably just two of many more factors that have to do with this complex system. But if you look at hashtag #NoPlant19, you will see that the Midwest is flooding and that farmers are having a big issue planting enough corn for the next harvest. It is not the end. We all remember the California droughts, and we all have seen the massive blizzards in Europe recently. It is bananas. So, the climate is changing. As the jet streams decouple and find a new equilibrium, the planet's trade winds are going to be erratic and unknown. So we see the polar vortex in Chicago and we see the drought in California at the same time. It's because these jet streams. Part of that is because of the North Atlantic gyre shifting due to increased melting of seawater, of glacial ice over there, and part of it is all these other factors. So who the fuck knows what's going to happen? It's going to take 20 to 50 years for it to settle down. We're going to go through climate change, and it is already affecting, if you remember the lime shortage and the avocado shortage in the food industry a couple of years ago, it's affecting everybody and all of the global food production. Now, I'm a big fan of the industrial food production system. It has raised the quality of life globally by dropping the price of food everywhere, but it has done so at a cost. We have more quantity, we don't have the same quality. Quality of food has dropped as quantity has skyrocketed. It's not a bad trade-off initially, but if you want the quality food, you have to grow it yourself indoors. You have to grow it yourself. Homegrown beats all other types of food. Now, you do it outdoors, that's fine, but you're limited to your local weather, and you have to deal with heavy, messy, complicated soil. Now, you might say it's not that complicated, but understanding soil dynamics is a big issue. Now, indoor farming you have to deal with hydroponics. However, when you simplify it and follow a standard process on a standardized platform, operating a hydroponic farm is really as easy as filling the bucket with 3 to 5 gallons a week, adding 2 to 3 scoopfuls of your fertigation solutions, and pouring it in. That's all I have to do to grow all the microgreens, shoots, and wheatgrass my family can eat. You get into more complicated stuff like cannabis or fruits and veggies, it can be more complicated. But you can do a lot with a very simple fertigation formula. STEM education, number 3, super, super, super important. Science, technology, education, math. It is the future of civilization. It's where all our discoveries come from. It's where all our technology comes from, and it's where all the R&D money goes. Now, everyone knows a STEM career is a great career, and everyone knows or should understand not everyone can have one of those dope STEM careers. However, if you are predisposed to one of these disciplines, or your children are, or your classroom is, you should be thinking about how to integrate this knowledge in a unified worldview so they can go out and find their specialization and still know how to draw from the other three disciplines to become more holistic in their problem solving, so that problems aren't as complicated because you're not isolated from all the different tools you can use to solve them. I personally was a terrible student until I found physics, and then I dove in. Was I last in my class? Yes. Were there only 7 people that graduated that year with a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Physics? Yes. I somehow made it through because I found a topic that I absolutely loved, even though I thought I was ignorant of math. I had to start very far below, but once you find that thing, anyone can succeed. The beauty of indoor farming for STEM education is that it unifies all sorts of disparate fields. Everything from mechanical engineering to chemistry, water chemistry, to ecology, to food business, to all sorts of subfields in between. They all get interrelated in a working, functional ecosystem. That is what you're ultimately creating. An ecosystem between plants, bacteria, and other organisms, other crops you might want to, symbiotic crops you might want to produce. Now, the beauty of vertical farming is that it lies in the nexus of all these different things. So if you understand how to design and build and operate a functioning ecosystem in the form of a vertical farm, you will understand how these different disparate fields interconnect and interact. And that is a really powerful thing to teach our young kids. It is very tactile, it's very sensory rich, multi-sensory, and it's very non-traditional, yet it gets the point across, and they can get into other expertise or niches from there. So these are the main 3 reasons why StackFarming is going to become the predominant platform for home farming. We're going to add all sorts of other stuff and expand the capabilities of this system to grow other crops, and it's going to be fantastic, but we're starting with the basics because even that has eluded these giant companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars pursuing commercial farming. So it's equally as hard to create a high-functioning 10,000 square foot farm as it is to create a high-functioning 5 square foot farm or 6 square foot farm. For different reasons, it is almost equally as hard. And if you don't believe me, no one has figured out the commercial side of things, and there is yet to be a popular indoor farm for the home. It is really tough. I've spent 6 years back and forth. Most of that time was commercial farming because that's where I could raise money, but my passion has always lied in home farming. I believe in a decentralized food production system. I don't believe in the commercial vision of re-centralization where they bring all the food to a city, but just to a couple different spots in the city. That might be the case for part of the food system, just like data centers are part of the IT or computing system, if you will, for the city. The other is personal computing, home farming. Every home is going to have a farm one day. It's not that complicated to set up a farm in your home and actually build it into the farm. As long as you know the basics, it's rather simple to do. Operating it can also be very, very simple if it's designed properly. And the cost can be very modest if you're using commercial off-the-shelf parts and not buying some bullshit custom system that looks great but costs $3,000 to $4,000 and barely does anything. And one you have to constantly buy custom-made fertilizer or seed pods to even grow anything. Farming should be modular, low cost, and customized. Should be what you want to grow. So that's what we believe at StackFarm. You can check out www.stack.farm for our kits and our DIY community. You can buy a kit, we'll ship it to your house, and you'll get lifetime access to the DIY community as well as lifetime email support. Or you can build one yourself with an e-training course that lets you customize your farm and get a little bit deeper into the nitty-gritty. So we have one kit and one course and an online community for everybody to learn from each other and to continue their education. The DIY training course comes with 3 months free of the membership community. So check us out, stack.farm. Better start stack farming one way or another.